other people. Studies have shown that listening, being listened to and feeling heard reduces mental illness, prevents suicide, and just plain makes people happier when they rate their happiness on a scale from 0 to 10. They're happier if they've been listened to recently. So imagine you've just had a terrible day at school, and you come home and your friend, your partner, your housemate says, "Hey, how was your day?" in the sort of passing, not really caring way that so often gets said. How does that make you feel? Now imagine you come home after a long day and someone looks you in the eye and takes a seat at the table and says, "How was your day?" and then truly listens. I imagine there's a big difference, and that's why I think we should all try to do a better job listening to each other.
Nicely done. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just hard to come up with the content, but I think the sessions we had practicing it really helped. Yeah, I wish I had a more like real life story to tell about this, but I think it kind of worked.
What do you guys think?
Just going back to like what we did in the past couple sessions.
Yeah.
I felt like you could have bigger pauses between sentences for dramatic effect.
Okay.
That would give you some time to think about your next sentence.
Okay, great. That's really helpful feedback. Thanks.
I have to say, like, a great thing you did is your use of hand gestures. I was just telling David this earlier because he's also really good with hand gestures, but I think when you said, like, 1 year or something, like, the hand movement you made at that point just, like, was perfect.
Okay.
And just keep doing that. Like, I don't think you overuse hand gestures or whatever. You do it.
Cool. Thanks. I'll watch the video because I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought it was really powerful.
Great.
I think just, closing with the demo and then just making that your point, I thought worked extraordinarily well. It was incredibly engaging. So I thought that was actually really powerful.
Oh, great.
I think just one piece of feedback is maybe throwing in more facts and figures, because I think it was very strong on the emotion.
Yeah.
But I think there were other places where you could have thrown that in. But other than that, I thought it tied together very well.
Great. Cool. Yeah, for the purposes of this, you can just make up.
Yeah, just make stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nicely done.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Ollie.
I'm going to do the question that said, what, like, 3 questions or something? Do you want to know, Mike, or was that the question?
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Okay. What 3 questions do you wish you knew the answers to? Stephen Hawking recently stated in one of his books that there is no God. That the universe just is what it is, and there's no good and evil, there's no higher force that we should look up to. Do we believe this? Imagine this. You're 94 years old, you're laying on your deathbed. You think to yourself, damn, I've got nothing left. This is the end. What do? Do you resign yourself to the fate of nothingness, or do you believe that there's a God, that there's a higher power, and that you're going to live forever? That's one of the questions that I'd like the answer to. Is there a God? Is there someone who we can really look up to and trust in? Stemming from that, the second question that I'd really like the answer to is, how big is the universe? Where are we in the spectrum of all the other planets and substances around us? The third question is, what the heck am I doing here? What is my role? What is the purpose of my life? Why was I born? I was given this unique chance to ask questions, to seek answers to things that we can't even begin to unravel.
Nicely done.
I think it went well, but I think I was really short for time. I think I went under. I probably jumped to the conclusion too much. Maybe I could have, like, I don't know, I guess expanded a little bit more. I also feel like I didn't really make use of my hand gestures again. I feel like that's the biggest weakness for me. I felt like my emotion was good overall. Maybe I could have used like some more changes in tone and in volume, but yeah. What do you guys think?
I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah.
And a lot of imagery, a lot of the deathbed.
I actually heard that one from James, or someone had mentioned something about it, so I kind of brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the demo, I think you used a lot of demo, which I thought was
Yeah.
really powerful, and I think that worked really well for the emotional aspect. I would have liked to see maybe a little more facts and figures. I think there were places where you could pepper those in.
Yeah.
Because I think you got us there, but then I think there are people who are maybe more logical that it
Yeah.
wouldn't work so well on.
Okay.
And then I think one more thing to seed is that you do want to tie it together at the
Okay.
end, right? So then, like, this is my point.
Right.
But I think it was a little difficult with 3 things, but
Yeah.
had possibly trying to tie it together at the end of the point. So
Okay.
I guess thinking back on that, what was your takeaway point that you would have wanted to end with?
That we know nothing.
Oh, we know that? Okay, yeah, perfect,
Guess
right?
that's that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you had all those things, it ties together like really well, because you had
Right.
that emotional impact, and then you say, yeah, I really want to say we know nothing, and then,
Okay.
yeah, I think that would, but.
Okay,
we'll leave
but
it at that.
definitely more facts and figures.
I think more facts and figures, that would
Okay.
help, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and I would say I think you did a really nice job with the demos,
Mhm.
and I would encourage you to go even a little bit more into the emotion. I think you do a nice job evoking emotion.
Really?
But thinking about we talked about being 5% higher energy
Yeah.
for the audience. Also, kind of that can also go when you're trying to do an emotional. You don't you don't want to go for melodrama, but
Right.
but you can go for passions.
Got it.
Um,
Okay. Just be even more energetic. Okay.
Yeah, or passion or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because you were doing a lot of cool contemplative
Oh, yeah, 'cause I'm also quite tired. Yeah. We're just talking about this. It's like I should have jumped around or something. But yeah. Yeah, but thanks. I appreciate that. Okay. Good?
Nicely done.
Okay.
Ellen.
I feel like I should jump around now.
Yeah, I feel like we're all kind of, our energy's kind of low here.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yay, Alan.
Alright.
Hope someone's not setting goals.
Yeah.
It just takes a second. Here, I'll just leave this.
Okay, I'm gonna choose what will you never do?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. How many of us have ever been burned by touching something hot? Of course. Every single one of us, as a child at some point, has wandered into the kitchen or stove and touched something that we shouldn't have to, and that sting, that bite, that burning sensation, instantaneously searing that thought into your mind. Unforgettable. Heat is an unforgiving master. The energy in it drives the universe and lets all things happen with it, from the cellular reactions that keep us going to the stars that provide us with energy. However, too much of it tears things apart, tears life apart. A single match, the heat from that can start a fire that consumes a building and destroys life and all your wherewithals and things within it. Think about losing all of that. Heat is the ultimate enemy, and that's why I will never, ever touch a fire.
Nicely done. What'd you think?
I think the jumping helped. Let's see. I think I wasn't able to get in statistics in because I was like, oh, I'm running out of time. But I tried to kind of get some evidence into otherwise.
What do you guys think?
Really liked your hand gestures. Felt they added a lot to your speech. You felt very deliberate. You had this going on when you were trying to describe
fidgeting with this hand, by the way? At any point? No, okay.
You were also very stable up there. You weren't rocking back and forth, which is something I told you about earlier today. So I think you made some improvement there, which is really good. You did have some movement sort of forward and back, but I didn't find that problematic at all. In fact, it was engaging.
Thank you.
I like the variation of volumes that you were hitting.
Yeah, so I think you said you didn't think you had that, or you tried to throw it back, but you didn't think you hit that many. But I think, for instance, like one place you could have thrown it in is like, oh, like ultimately your point is, oh, I would never touch fire, right? It's like, just list out all the things that fire causes, right? All the bad things, right? Oh, it burns people, it burns down houses, destroys, like blah blah blah. Just like coming up with stuff like that, just throwing that in, because I think you had excellent emotion, excellent demo, but just tying in something like that, I think would have helped you with your end point. And it's difficult to do these in 1 minute, but it's just like any opportunity you have to throw in a factor in emotion it's the value of C, right? You can just pepper it in wherever, as long as you tie it together at the end, it's really, really powerful.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was really well.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Dream.
Ours take 181. So the question was, why do we idolize sports players? So imagine all of us were stranded on a desert island. Who would rise to be the alpha? Who would rise to be the leader? Well, we can ask ourselves, who are the leaders in this class? We determine the leaders by those who are most knowledgeable, James and Halsey. On this desert island, the leader would likely be the most physically fit, the one who can provide, the one who can hunt, the one who's able to survive without us but lets us survive. The desert island is a vacuum, and that's what makes the leader the one who can provide best in that vacuum. The same applies to sports. Sports are a vacuum. They're not the real world. They're a comparison of might, they're a comparison of strength and skill. A study found that right after the Super Bowl last year, when viewers were surveyed, every single viewer unanimously agreed that Tom Brady was the most dominant player on the field. The same viewers were interviewed 1 week later, and he was rated no higher chance of being viewed as the alpha in a room than a 5-year-old boy. So sports are a way of showing who is the most dominant over their peers, and that's why we idolize sports players. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I needed a little more time to expand it out, but felt like it flowed well. I think I got the point across.
Did you guys think?
I thought that was excellent. I thought that was really you used the demo really well, and then you gave amazing facts as well. You just intertwined everything, and I think it appealed to any type of viewer. And yeah, so you did a really good job. I guess the one criticism I would make is maybe vary your tone of voice a little bit
Sure.
more, and as Halsey mentioned to me, just amp up the energy a bit, and then I think it would have been perfect. But
I want to see these surveys.
We'll get them to you.
Very creative.
Yeah, I think excellent use of facts in the demo, and I think you said you didn't really think everything tied together at the end, but by saying that statement at the end, you did have a conclusion to the point, so I think it actually worked really well.
Cool.
Yeah, really nicely done. Ben.
Okay. I'm going to do, what are your favorite simple pleasures? How many people here have ever felt the simple pleasure of taking a hike in the woods? feels great, doesn't it? Especially on a sunny afternoon, breeze blowing through the trees. I'll bring you back to a day in my life where a hike did a lot. I was feeling really down for about a week, and when the weekend came, I decided to go for a walk, go for a hike. And the hike took me about 3 hours. I came back, and I felt completely different. All of the worries of the past week had just dissipated. I felt ready to take on the next week. And it gave me a feeling of empowerment and excitement to be alive that I'd rarely felt before. Doctors in Scotland have recently started prescribing nature as an actual medicine. 98% of psychiatrists say that nature helps their patients. I think that we should all feel empowered to employ the benefits and power of nature and hiking in our daily lives. So it could make a big difference.
Really nicely done. What do you think?
Try to bring the story, try to bring in the facts. I felt like there were a lot of things in like the actual delivery that I wasn't really paying attention to and might have regressed from like previous weeks, but felt like I was trying to get all of the elements in the seed in. Yeah, I'm not sure like how things like eye contact, like tics and hand movements and all that, and voice projection, how all that stuff came across, but yeah.
What do you guys think?
Fantastic use of like the things that didn't seem like it was like out of place. Like it felt like it fit naturally. Like, oh, this is like my way of thinking to like what can we like from the story to back to these recommendations to like a general conclusion. That fit very well.
Yeah, I feel like a TED Talk in that regard. Like, TED Talk about your life, and then you kind of like, oh, and then doctors in Scotland.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, right? I think you did the seed format pretty much perfectly, right? And I think this is why, like, a lot of TED Talk people use it. It's just very, very powerful. Like, your experience, facts and figures, so it's not just you, and then your conclusions. So I think, yeah, that worked incredibly well. It was very, very powerful. Nicely done. Okay. Dennis.
So dropping those people off in Australia without back. More hikes and
Sorry.
All good.
Alright. I'm gonna do 186. What does love feel like? Okay. So I want all of you to close your eyes for me. Is that right? Now I want you to imagine for me the person who you love most in this world. Imagine what they do that makes you feel love. Feel that love. Hold on to that sensation. Whether it be in your chest, whether it be tied to a fond memory you have of that person. And I want you to think about where you feel it, how you feel it. Because ultimately, and you can open your eyes again, we all know what love feels like. And whether we may feel it through a person, feel it through our lives, through our accomplishments, we all know what love feels like. And I think fundamental to who we are is cultivating that sense of love in others. And so I think it's important to hold on to those memories of those we hold dear, so that maybe one day someone else can close their eyes and think, wow, that person has really touched my life in such a meaningful way. And whether it be love that empowers others or that we use to empower ourselves and change the world, I think it's all love that we know and that comes very naturally to us.
Nicely done. What do you think?
I think I had a game plan, and then I was like, oh, deviated from the game plan. All right, let me try to get back on track, and then went from the demo to the rest of Seed, which is not the way I went previously. So it took some adjusting at first. But yeah.
I would say okay, it's really hard to map these things out instantly, so I would say if you guys, well, you probably will never have to do this sort of exercise again, but sometimes it works to just roll with it, and you can tie things together without having to go back. So I think, so in writing, this is called killing your darlings. So for people who ever did any of the creative writing or anything, this is like the thing where when you're working on something creative, you get really attached to this idea and it actually holds you back from other things. If you kill your darlings, then you can move on and actually progress. But that's also applies to speaking. Sometimes you really do want to make a point, but sometimes it holds you back from other things. So if you're willing to kill your darlings and let that go, it can actually make your speaking better.
Yeah, I
so
felt
just something
that.
to think about. Yeah, okay. What do you guys think?
I think that was an excellent speech that you gave. And I think one of the most powerful things was kind of having everyone basically do meditation on people you love, and then really give a moment for people to experience that. And then when you open your eyes, you're so much more receptive to the message. There was, I think there's two things that you could have done to really have hit this home better.
Yeah.
And the first thing I think that could have been improved on was to basically use the technique, tell them what you're gonna tell them, then tell them what you just told them. So
Wait, what?
Wait, it's in the reading.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, so in the beginning, if you had just kind of told us a short pithy line, love is the most important thing, and then you have us do the meditation, and then you go, all of us just went through that together. The love is blah blah. Then I think that kind of wraps it around. Last of all, I think you had some excellent pauses. There were some pauses that made you seem very, very natural, and then some other pauses that were kind of oh, I can tell that he's thinking, and it's kind of getting awkward. So if you can kind of turn the awkward pauses into the ones where I could tell that you were pausing just because you were thinking about something to say, but something felt more natural than others and added to the speech,
Okay.
rather than detracted from it. So if you can just act like that all the time when you're pausing, then it'll just all people add to your speech.
What defined those two groups of pauses for you as the viewer?
Right. So the first group that was good, you just kind of you kind of quiet, you kind of drifted off, and then you resumed your thing. But the other one, it came with fidgets and could change in body language, and then you kind of making and so because you fidgeted, I could tell that you were thinking.
You gave that away.
I think that would be something to work on for the final speech, but for this, I mean, it's off the cuff, it can be really hard, so, but definitely watch the video and see what the difference is, but definitely pay attention to that part in the final speech.
Okay. Thank you for the exchange feedback.
I think you're using pauses effectively. I can see that you're taking a breath and actually using a technique, and you're not doing this in front of your hand towards your mouth. So I can definitely see the progression.
Thank you very much.
I would say one piece of feedback on Seed specifically is you were really great with the demo. Right? You had us close our eyes and everyone followed along, and that was really powerful. And I think you were really great with the emotional aspect. But I would have liked to see some more facts and figures, right? Because you hit that one part, but then I was just wondering, okay, why should I do this, right? I get, or why should I think this, right? I am someone who needs facts and figures to believe what people are saying. So I think it would have been more powerful if you had that.
Yeah. I was should I use the emotion as the fact or as the evidence? Is that enough for some people where it could be enough for some, it may not be enough for others who are more logically driven?
Right. I think the point of this framework is that you hit everyone,
Yes.
right? So you have to have separate facts and separate emotions. I think they're very distinct things. Yeah. Really nicely done.
Thank you.
Very good.
Um, what book has had the greatest influence in your life? How many of you guys have watched Law and Order? A show of hands. Almost everybody in this room. Now, how many of you guys have been arrested? I'm actually surprised that people were raising their hands. But if you're at Yale Medical School, chances are that you've never been arrested. Chances are that you've never been behind bars. I'm assuming you're an upstanding citizen. Now, my favorite book is the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told to Alex Haley. I read this when I was 16. I was looking for something in life. I was looking for greater meaning. I think there was greater consciousness that was coming to me, and I wanted to find what I would dedicate my life to, and what was my purpose. We often think about resilience today. Resilience is the key word now we talk about. We talk about resilience in the term of what does it mean to deal with stress. But Malcolm X was somebody who was resilient and powerful. And he survived being placed in a hole where he couldn't talk to anybody. And to come out and to change society is something that's meaningful to me.
All right, nice sit down. What do you think?
Yeah, I think today definitely I've been a little bit more exhausted than usual. But I think it was good. I tried to use the enrolling questions. I had a fact that I didn't throw in, so I think using more facts would have been helpful. Yeah.
I thought the question was very effective. Just kind of like brought you into some sort of scene. It was almost like imagine this, but you're now just imagining you're in jail. So like
Yeah, I didn't think any of you guys had been arrested, but.
Oh, we're told.
Oh,
to-
Oh, you were just okay.
Just being supportive. I think, yeah, I think it was excellent use of emotion. I think facts can be something as simple as, oh, Malcolm X went through all of these things, so this happened to him, this happened to him, and yet he was still able to have this impact. That could have worked really, really well as a fact. It doesn't have to be like this, like cold, 93%, blah, blah, blah,
Oh, okay.
or something like that. But just having that sort of evidence, I think, because it's E for evidence, right? Just anything like that could be really helpful, and I think that would have, like you said, made it even stronger, but I thought it was very powerful.
I just realized why creative nonfiction works so well. Because it brings in the emotional and the logical side. Like it's the perfect blend. Like a book like When Breath Becomes Air, even though not everyone liked it. A lot of people do, and I feel like that's, it's a very effective medium.
Yeah, I think it was in the pre-read, but Atul Gawande, next time you read him, he does this all the time, right? Like some story or whatever, then he'll like weave this really emotional thing, tons of facts, and then ultimately have this conclusion. So
Don't a lot of people hate Atul Gawande also. They think he's a tool.
I
They actually think he's a tool. I've seen that. He's become a tool Gawande.
interesting.
Oh, by the way, David, there's an extremely effective part of your speech when you say, I was looking for something, and then I don't know, but something about like using that in the context of knowing the question that like was the most important book that you had, kind of like really like hit it home for me. And I don't know if anyone else felt that, but I was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think if I had 2 minutes, I would have got to the crux of the matter. But,
No,
These are definitely hard to do in a minute, but really nicely done.
They think he basically the argument is that I've heard is that he actually doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, but he sees some things and he wants to make himself really important, so he sees he
I
can do
can see
anything.
that in his writing.
I've-
I actually
I've
don't
heard
like
that
his
argument,
writing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do what?
I don't like his style of writing. I find it very redundant, monotonous.
And long.
Huh?
And long.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't personally like him as an author. So I can see exactly what you mean by his personality, that he just like wants to sing for it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so you have
right? No, because you can do that, then you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
AJ.
So, how many of you have met someone and just taken an instant dislike to them? That's most of us, all of us, right? There's so many things in our subconscious that are deciding how we feel about certain things. I'm sure y'all have also had the experience where you meet someone and you immediately like them. But why do we really do this? And should we do this? It might make us feel better to feel like our instincts have value. But I think we should actually be breaking them down and coming to some meaning about why we like or dislike things. So, 90% of psychologists agree that unconscious thought is what decides the conclusion of your conscious thought. In other words, your logic will follow your emotion rather than the other way around. But there is a great deal of value in finding out why you unconsciously have certain feelings. So for example, imagine you're walking down the street and you see someone that you perceive as sketchy, and you cross the street and you keep walking. You might not put much attention to this, but in reality, you should figure out why you don't like the things that you don't like. And you should decide, is this really fair? Should I be behaving like this? Overall, don't be the type of person who dislikes people for no reason.
What do you think?
Yeah, those words were kind of jittery, so I could do better on just speaking more fluently.
I don't think I noticed that.
Your
Well,
thoughts
I guess
might
I
have
just
been
felt
jittery,
like
but
that.
we didn't hear any jittery words.
I like it. It wasn't jitteriness. It was kind of like stammering, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I noticed, and it really came across in your hand gestures as well, because when you couldn't think of the next thing to say immediately, you paused. It was like your voice was was like an extension of your body, and
Yeah.
so maybe just if you're more fluid and confident in your hand movements and in your stance, that could also make people kind of distracted as to the fact that you're trying to collect your thoughts.
Yeah, also pretty tired today.
Yeah, all of us, all around.
Yeah, I love it. I love the topic of implicit bias in general, but I think the way you framed it with your own questions, very personable. I can relate to that. I think you brought it home with the psychology and good pacing. I also think that if you just take a breath, you can just solve this problem. It's like you were great. I think your body's awesome, your energy, I think was awesome. Just take a breath.
Thanks.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice to do. I thought it was a great example of how the enrolling question is like I didn't know where you're going with that, or I had ideas, I could guess, but I didn't guess. And that was what was so cool. Is you kind of took us on this journey, and you're here at this question I asked you, but you were at a thing where you just don't like someone, and kind of led us to explore that. So I thought that was very creative. Really narrative.
To add to that, building more, he also let us sit with that feeling, it kind of made us think and reflect on the psychology.
Can I ask you, was that where you were going to go? Did you think that was going to be the conclusion you were going to come to when you started that?
Yeah, the prompt was what type of person angers you the most? And I was like, who do I don't like? I mean, who do I not like? And I was like, oh, sometimes I just don't like people for no reason, so that's why I came up with that.
But I mean, so I guess what I find interesting is it seems like you led us to but also don't be the kind of person who doesn't like people for no reason, right? Did you think that was going to be the conclusion?
No, I just came up with that on the spot.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? So just roll with it.
Thanks for all that constructive criticism.
Excellent.